A very good evening to all the Western Ghats Nilgiris viewers. My name is Abhirami and I am speaking to you now from Melthatapulam estate, which belongs to my grandfather. After that, my father has been looking after it for about 50 years now. Today I am going to focus on three very important points in the Nilgiris. One is the real estate threat, the other is land mafia, and the third point is climate change, which we need to seriously look into, which is a great threat to our ecosystem. Not only the ecosystem but also a very big threat towards wildlife in the Nilgiris. The very first point I'd like to talk about is the real estate and the urbanization of the Nilgiris. It has become imperative for us to pause and reflect on the consequences of our actions. The Nilgiris by itself has breathtaking landscapes, diverse flora and fauna, and unique ecosystems, which stands as a testament to a splendid greatness of nature created by God. But what are we doing to preserve this? I would like to mention that the Nilgiris is not just a natural treasure to all the residents who live here. I also want to mention that this is of high value and a great national treasure because of the kind of impact that we have on the ecological system. And not only that, we have indigenous communities like the Todas, the Kotas, the Kurmas, the Badgas. I mean, we have so many people who have been living here for 200 years and more, and they are being greatly affected by the urbanization of the Nilgiris and the relentless march that the real estate developers are doing to our nature, culture, and all the people who actually live here. We need to acknowledge that development of real estate is essential, but is real estate the only thing that has to be developed in the Nilgiris is the question that I want to ask. I don't think so. It has come at a cost of irreparable damage to our environment. Can you see the trees in front of me and the beautiful flowers behind me? These are all untouched for the last 65 years. We have been living here for the last 65 years. I'm like a third generation planter now. We do not cut down a single tree. We don't damage a single beautiful flower that is behind me. But today when I go out into the town of Kotagiri or Kunnur or Ooty, every 2 kilometers or every kilometer, I can see somewhere in the hill, someone is using a bulldozer to bulldoze some trees. Who is part of this? Who has given them the authority to cut down almost every single tree that they come across, or root up every tea plant that they come across in a tea estate? I can see from here, from my very own estate, when I look down, there is a view of the Bhavani river, and when I see that, I see there are small plots of houses just coming up everywhere or in and around me. This is not where I want to live for the next 50 years. So what am I doing about it and what are you doing about it is the question I am raising today. There is another very important question that I want to impose, and I want all of you to think about it, is that is there a strict enforcement of environmental laws in the Nilgiris? Do we have incentives for green building initiatives, or is it just a corrupt system in place? See, the Nilgiris is already ecologically sensitive, but there seems to be a high level of corruption in the Nilgiris. I know that you are aware of it, I am very well aware of it, but can we do anything about it, and what are we doing about it to make sure this tree grows taller than what it already is? And instead of this tree, there has to be 10 more trees. But why are we seeing, say, 10 other houses here, there and everywhere we go? Is this what you want to leave behind for the next generation, is what I am asking. There is another very important and dangerous situation that we seem to be facing, We are relentlessly being threatened with the essence of Nilgiris, and that is by none other than the land mafia. They are slowly coming in, and they are slowly coming in for all the residents in the Nilgiris. Not only the residents in the Nilgiris, but also after our homes, our land, our land which we have been safeguarding for the last 65 years. And it's a lot of hard work, by the way. We don't just come in here, get up one morning and say, oh, we have this much of land to look after. Every single day, we have to work towards it to safeguard our land, our people. But this is being really threatened by those shadows, and there's someone lurking in those shadows. We do not know who they are. They come through various channels, various sources. They have truck loads of money which we don't have, and that is the threat to us. And I want to be very clear, okay, that I don't think this is a battle just for my land, our land. It is a battle for the very soul of the Nilgiris. I think the history of the Nilgiris runs up to for more than, say, about 200 years easily. And if I'm not mistaken, right now if we look at the residents of the Nilgiris, I feel there are a lot of outsiders who actually don't belong to this place in terms of heart or soul. Okay, they come here to plunder the wealth of the Nilgiris, and these are the people that I would actually call land mafia, because they're here only because they have the money and they have no soul in themselves for this district and for the tea plantations that we have been working so hard to safeguard. I think and I feel that those responsible citizens can actually launch comprehensive awareness programs between all the landowners and those residents. See, you don't have to be huge landowners also to participate in this program, is what I feel. Even if you have just 1 acre, if you're a small grower, and if you have a small house in any village across the Nilgiris, you are also a very prominent resident of the Nilgiris. You can join hands with the landowners who want to initiate this program, to warn them, to let them know that do not fear this, that anyone can take away what soulfully and rightfully belongs to you. We can also look at strengthening legal framework. I feel that if you are fearless, then you can seriously take these complaints forward. You can look at or pinpoint anyone you think who is land mafia. Do not be afraid to take it to authorities. I would, because I have already in the past. And if I'm sure they will, it is their duty to cooperate with you. You can work with them to curbing down on what illegal activities, and especially I'm talking about land grabbing in the Nilgiris. We can curtail it if we want to. The integrated community in the Nilgiris, it is not one person such as me or you to do it individually. It's a group fight, it's a community fight. I feel that if you think that some wrongdoing is happening somewhere, you should report them. You should bring this out into the open and let the authorities know that some construction is happening somewhere illegally. And just as our previous collector, Ms. Divya Innocent, has gone around the Nilgiris looking into unwanted constructions, do you think it's actually only her job to do so? I feel we can all get together to uh, uh, make a change, be the change that we want to see. The third point I'd like to focus on is climate change in the Nilgiris. We seem to be witnessing a huge climate change, and that is also because of the point that I had mentioned earlier. There's too much construction, way too much construction going on in the Nilgiris. And as I think mentioned to some friends of mine, in the year of 2023, I think in the month of November, My estate actually saw record rainfall of 5 inches in one single night. Can you believe that? And we had floods. Our houses were flooded, and the number of trees that are being cut down in the Nilgiris is obviously causing this extreme drastic climate change. And it's not just the rains that I'm talking about. I'm talking about the heat. We are now facing extreme heat during the summers with absolutely no rain whatsoever, or what is happening is we are not having any summers at all. During the summers we are facing rains, and during winters we are facing no winter but heavier rainfalls. So I don't think this is something that this generation and the next generation is going to be able to sustain for the next 10 years. I seriously doubt it. I think it's really important that we transition very swiftly towards a low carbon future, and we have to start investing in renewable energy, sustainable agriculture, green infrastructure, and everything else that impacts climate change. Not only that, but also creates enough jobs for those living in the Nilgiris. I wanted to specifically mention something about the behavioral pattern of animals in the Nilgiris because of the climate change. I think about a few months ago in Keeltatapalam, which is on the highway, Mettupalayam-Kotagiri highway, we witnessed a group of elephants who had come onto the main road in fear and terror. They were terrorized by the fact that there was a real estate construction coming up in their habitat. I think that is a very wrong thing to do. And the entire reason that they were onto the main road was because they began hunting for food and water in places outside of their habitat. And the result of that was the elephants were now roaming onto the highways, and out of their fear they were attacking humans. So because of what we are doing, it is also affecting the relationship between humans and animals. Earlier we used to be in a peaceful coexistence. They live in the jungle, we live in our houses. But because they are building more and more houses in their homes, we are witnessing a drastic change in peaceful coexistence between animals and humans. I think it's a point well understood that the more trees you plant, the more it is going to absorb the excess rainfall, because of which you can curtail flooding, and there's going to be a reduction in soil erosion. And as I mentioned earlier, in the month of November 2023, when we witnessed the heavy flooding, there were extreme number of landslides all the way from Kotagiri, Kotagiri up to Mettupalayam. We had roadblocks for 2 to 3 days, and no one was allowed to enter the Nilgiris or leave the Nilgiris. And this is the exact thing that we do not want to see every single year. So in an initiative, I am planning to join hands with the Forest Department of Tamil Nadu to start planting more trees, as many trees as I can. This is an initiative, a personal initiative, and also tribute to my father and grandfather. I think all of you should also join. In conclusion, I would like to inform all of you that as responsible residents of the Nilgiris, we need to really look at cutting down constructions. And if you know any NGOs who are actively participating in projects like these, please do be part of it and ensure that we plant more trees, so that we also offer a better life to all those wild animals who have been living here all their life. Actually, we are the ones who have intruded into their land, if I am not mistaken. And as far as the land mafia goes, be fearless, be bold, because this is our land. If you find anything murky, I think you should report any of it to our local authorities. Thank you for watching.